Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Guys YouTube channel where the Force is family, and welcome back to yet another Tuesday Night Trek. I am Master Paul, and I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the ending of this stream. TNT had the stronger block of episodes by merit of one particular episode of Deep Space Nine. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Well, a frickin' Marine!
Best episode ever!
Said no one ever, at least that I know of. But yes, we'll get to that episode when we get to it. But yeah, so real quick, Phil was in the chat saying, ding dong yo, ding dongs, and no snowballs for crit. He gets none, and then he shares a box. I don't know what that is.
I guess we're all squares, man.
Yeah.
I don't even like snowballs.
I'm not going to go there, but if the Force is family after this one, I want to be disowned.
Fair enough. But all right, well, so before we get into the DS9 stuff and what has Pacific in a particularly foul mood, let's talk about the TNG stuff. Starting, of course, with Suspicions, then Heir to the Throne, and then Second Chances. So as always, Baron, you can go first. What do you think of these three episodes as a whole?
At this point here, I'm getting a little foggy with Next Generation. I got to catch up when you guys do your streams to watch these things. Mm-hmm. So at this moment, I won't have really much of an opinion until we start talking about it, and the old scrambled brain starts starting up.
Okay, fair enough. Pacific, what about you for these three TNG episodes?
Suspicions isn't too bad. I mean, it's a who did it episode when you have a Ferengi that developed a special kind of shield that can shield the starship from a star's corona, and he unfortunately gets murdered, and you have to solve a case, and it involves Dr. Crusher.
And you actually have a likable Ferengi.
And it's actually a likable Dr. Crusher episode.
Yeah. But wait a minute, are you saying that Quark isn't likable?
Well, no, I mean, when it comes around to this Ferengi is actually pretty honorable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean by likable. He's not, shifty and shady like we've all seen with the Ferengis up to this point. This is actually deviation of the Ferengi norm that we won't see until Next Generation as the show progresses along.
Yeah, and another thing I like about Suspicions is that when it comes to the Klingon scientist, who is actually the actress who played Captain Garrett in yesterday's Enterprise, she even mentions how Klingon scientists aren't really highly regarded in the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
And
but anyways, go ahead.
Moving on to the next episode. Well, Kahless the Unforgettable. But I just want to say it now that one of the clerics on Borath is the voice actor for Skeletor, Alan Oppenheimer.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you fur brain.
Or all the characters from the Never-Ending Story.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. But
okay.
Honestly, that episode's a real good episode. Yes, it's a Worf episode, but you also have an appearance by Galron, and everybody's quoting text. And I was thinking as I was rewatching this, I'm thinking, I think Paul might really enjoy this episode.
Oh yeah, I did. In fact, I think as far as TNG goes, it's episode of the week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then as far as Second Chances is concerned, well, it's another clone episode. So we get 2 back-to-back clone episodes.
Yeah.
And, one, he was created in a lab. The other, transporter accident.
That is true.
But...
So, how I feel about these episodes?
Phil saying, "What animal is coughing?" That was Baron's.
That was a dog barking.
Hello.
Oh, now she quieted down.
TNG is kind of getting boring. I like TNG, but I've seen these episodes so many times. You guys haven't seen them, but I have. Suspicions was weak. It was fine. Could have been dead better. Rifle Hair. King Worf in the Round Table. Basically, it's an okay episode. Second Chances. I just don't. It's fine. They're just fine. It's pretty much all I can say about TNG this week.
So you're saying that's going into this, downslide now.
Yeah, well, I've seen these so many times that I think I can see it now. I'm kind of like, the storylines aren't interesting, and it's fun to watch with like Cash and stuff, but I'm just like, this isn't enthralling me. We have one more season left, but I'm kind of glad TNG's coming to an end, because you can see the writing is stale, and it's not as strong. But back to it, DS9. How do I? Wait, did you give you guys thoughts on DS9?
No, we haven't talked about that yet.
Not yet. Let's save that until we're done talking about the TNG episodes.
Okay.
So, with that, let's go ahead and talk about Suspicions. Now, this episode starts... Actually, before I do that, I just want to really quick cast our minds back to TNG Season 1 and the very first time that we see the Ferengi, because it's important to mention, given what you were saying, Mike, about the Ferengi character in this episode and how likable he is. Let's just real quick flash back to the first time we ever saw the Ferengi. And CBS, this is used in fair use.
Yep. Notice how they're acting a little primitive. And...
Wonderful acting by Jonathan Frakes.
Quark is the leader of the Klingon.
Quark's a Klingon.
No, Quark is a Ferengi. He was the leader of the Ferengi in that episode. You human!
It is now 6 hours since our away team beamed down to the planet.
Yeah, right there. You see him?
Yeah.
The one that's crouched. That's
Armin Shimmerman.
And notice how you described it the best, Crit. They act like monkeys in that episode.
But let's not forget the best part. Anybody!
That is true. I had a clip for that. I don't have it anymore. Oh, ActionCom is here. Let me get you the link real quick. There's a certain DS9 episode I'd love to hear your thoughts on, ActionCom.
Gerbils and drugs.
I like how the Ferengi are now, where they're mainly greedy, but there's some, like the Doctor and Suspicions, that he wants to prove himself.
Right. It shows that they're not a monodimensional.
They're not monkeys.
Right. Well, and they're not just a one-trick pony, race, which is sometimes, let's face it, when we deal with Star Trek and all that, it's like we only can write one way for these people. We can't show a diverse society. Well, they were forced to have to do that with the Ferengi, because there was being built up to be this huge, voracious, unknown entity that they never ran into before. And they might even been cannibals. They might be. So here you're expecting, these guys are going to come in. These are going to be horrible. And it's like, you first see them and you're laughing. It's like, okay, yeah, they killed us because we're dying laughing. You pathetic little things.
Exactly. And with that, ActionCom is in here. What's up, man?
Hello, everybody.
So I'll bring you up to speed real quick. You haven't missed much. The 3 TNG episodes we are covering are Suspicions, Heir to the Throne, and Second Chances. So what's your take on all three of those?
Oh, I love a good mystery. In fact, that's going to be the theme this night, mysteries.
That is true.
The Suspicions, I believe that's the Ferengi episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good,
Mhm.
but when I saw the ending, I yelled, "Oh, cop out! You can't do that." And I'll explain that later.
Okay.
All right. Rightful Heir, interesting. This was a topic that they had to broach sooner or later. The idea of religion in a particular culture.
Yeah.
And as for Second Chances, a very interesting episode. In fact, if you had asked people to come up with a story for TNG, transporter accident duplicating somebody would have been very high on that list of what everyone would have thought of.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, it was done once before in Star Trek, a little bit differently though, with the enemy intruder or
The Enemy
Enemy
Within,
Within.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
which right now I believe stands as Michael's third favorite episode of all of TOS.
Fascinating.
So, anyways, with all of that said, I played a clip, Action Com. I'm sure you saw it. I played a
did.
clip of the Ferengi as they appeared in the episode The Last Outpost, which was the episode from Season 1. And Barrett, we have a policy on the channel where we're not allowed to show wieners on screen.
Even if I'm stroking my wiener,
It's-
what's the matter? Are you jealous?
I'm gonna
intimidated?
channel my inner Garrick, especially if you're stroking it.
If you keep doing that, you're going to go blind.
Too late. You're just jealous. You're just jealous about the quality of my wiener.
All right, jokes.
Well, the only
jokes
time we could get
aside,
away with it on this stream.
He started it.
I did, but in all seriousness, though, he looks like he's having the time of his life, just perched up there on you.
Yeah, Duchess is that kind of dog.
Oh, she.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
she.
And she's the toothless one, right?
Yep, she's the toothless Doxy from Heck.
Okay.
As long as you don't spit on you.
No, she doesn't.
All right.
But the tongue hangs out, as you can see.
Yeah, I see it.
So it drools.
All right. So, anyways, the episode starts with Dr. Crusher walking into her quarters, and she's clearly looking like she's had a bad day. And she is trying to change into her civilian clothes when Guinan knocks at her door and walks in, complaining of tennis elbow. And Dr. Crusher says, well, you should probably take that to sick bay. Dr. Salar is probably on duty. That was a big yawn.
Oh, the dog? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're boring her.
I do that usually. But anyways, and Guinan says, but I want you to see it. And Beverly's like, well, I'm sorry about your luck, but I'm not a doctor on this ship anymore. And then she proceeds to tell a story of basically what got her right to practice medicine on board the Enterprise revoked, where she had tried to help this one Ferengi scientist present his work to other scientists regarding metaphasic shields and shielding, where apparently his shielding would be so effective you could drive right through the corona of a star and come out completely fine. And so she brings him aboard the Enterprise along with someone's upset. Did she see something that made her upset, Baron?
The other dog started to bark a little bit. I don't know if the missus is coming home about now or not. I don't know. But when one dog starts barking, they all do.
I gotcha.
maybe they were trying to point out a continuity error. A ship already has flown through the corona and come out the other side fine. It
What
was
ship was this?
It was a Klingon ship in that the Civil War.
Oh yeah, Redemption Part 2.
Yes, where they flew in and then warped out and splattered some sun juice on those Klingon.
Yes, that was
Duchess.
Kern's. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say Duchess is a harsh critic, so that's probably the reason why.
She was trying to point that out.
She might be a harsh critic, but she's adorable.
Luckily,
but anyways,
I'm not like that.
Anyways, on board the Enterprise is, of course, the Ferengi scientists, as well as a Vulcan scientist that's head of the Vulcan Science Academy, and her human husband, a female Klingon scientist, and another scientist from another species we had never seen before, and I'm blanking out on what his name was. I believe No Drill, but I forget what his species name was. Do you guys remember?
Yeshibungas.
Action Com, Pacific, Crit, do you guys remember?
Give me a few moments.
Okay.
No.
His name
was Jabril, and
Jabril. Okay.
Yeah, I would just call him Joe Burrow.
Basically, this is a
Joe Brill.
Don't make me grab that guitar.
To Karen.
Yes. Okay. So to Karen. So he's a Karen, which we've never seen anyone from his species before. I don't believe, right?
No.
Oh, this is the first.
Okay. Yes. So, anyways, they all have their doubts about this this Ferengi scientist's discovery, and they all come to the consensus of, well, let's let an impartial third party test it. And Mr. Jabril was willing to pilot the shuttle that would carry the shield to allow a test to be made. So everyone from the bridge watches the test happen. He flies right into the corona of the star. And at first, everything seems to be going normal. But as the radiation from the star begins to interfere with comms, he starts acting like he is choking, like he's losing air. And he seems to die. And weirdly, it seems that there is an increase in baryon particles inside the cabin. And so, for all intents and purposes, it seems like the experiment was a failure. But Dr. Crusher isn't taking things at face value. After more investigation, she comes up with the hypothesis that the experiment was sabotaged and Jabril was murdered. And so...
Dun, dun, dun!
Actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. The experiment was sabotaged, and she's trying to help the Ferengi scientist, cope with this. But soon he's found dead. And that's what makes Dr. Crusher think there was a murder. Because she knew the Ferengi scientist well enough to know that he would never have contemplated suicide.
Can I do it now?
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun!
Nice. I need a sound effect for that. Do you have one of those specific?
Not at the moment.
Okay. That's fine.
But I'm sure I can find one.
That's okay.
I believe it's
so anyways. Dr. Crusher starts examining possibilities that indeed the Ferengi was murdered, but it makes it very hard for her to do this because she is not allowed to do an autopsy on the Ferengi scientist because the Ferengis apparently have some certain death ritual that they have to perform, meaning that the body cannot be in any way sullied until the ritual has been performed.
They got to go through the pockets and all to find all the change in the other parts of the body.
I'm sure a few of the rules of acquisition, which I still do not know about, play into it.
There's an app that has those.
Like an actual iPhone app?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ferengi Rules of Acquisition, all available on an app.
I am looking this up now, actually. Nope, it's not on the App Store.
I would just keep watching DS9.
They go through. There was actually a book out that had it. So at one time.
I believe it.
Not all of them, but what they had mentioned.
Right. So, anyways, she starts investigating the other different scientists, thinking that they might have had a motive for wanting him killed. And it goes about as well as you would expect, with the Vulcan in her own way. Oh, someone's in the background. If that's Mrs. Tagbearan, tell her we said hello. But anyways, the Vulcan scientist and her husband, of course, are insulted by the fact that they are accused of being the murderer. Beverly gets attacked by the Klingon scientist because, you don't insult a Klingon's honor. And so, left with literally no other choice, Beverly performs the autopsy against the family's wishes. And that's what's ultimately... Was that you, Mike?
That was me.
That's the murder sting.
That works. Send that to me, please.
Oh, well.
But anyways, she goes and confesses what she did to Picard, who then strips her of her license to practice medicine aboard the Enterprise. But again, she just cannot let it go. So after something of a talk with Guinan, which, you know what, I'm going to count this. We haven't used this counter in a while. I'm counting this as Guinan doing Troy's job better. But thank you, by the way.
Welcome.
But anyways, she can't let it go, and so she decides to recreate the experiment herself. And so she goes into the shuttlecraft, pilots it once again into the Corona, and everything's fine until Jabril, who was dead and had an autopsy done on him, is somehow alive again and has Dr. Crusher hostage.
That's when I screamed at the screen, blue ship, or something to that effect.
Isn't that stupid?
So basically, you would have said bull.
Something like that.
No, I would have said bull. No, never mind.
That was the essence of not playing fair.
Yeah.
Because the show had information that there was no way I could have known about, and I don't know, when a person dies and they have an autopsy, I think you can safely say they're removed from the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they come back in, and I don't know, it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
I understand. Yeah, I don't know that it sat completely right with me either, so just okay.
But guys, he can slow his blood pressure. He can slow his heartbeat. And it's perfectly reasonable explanation.
Reasonable, but also convenient.
And no Chekhov law. You got to have a Chekhov law to mystery.
What does that
If you
mean?
see, well, it's like if there's a gun on the, if you see a gun and it's on a wall, somehow it's going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the story?
Give a hint.
Yeah, it gives a hint to something. And the same thing with a mystery. There's got to be something for the, if you're having a proper mystery for the viewers to watch, you have to have the clues. Which is why Sherlock Holmes isn't a mystery, because usually it's him recounting. You already know what the outcome is. Sherlock Holmes is telling Watson, this is how it all happened. But a true, like, Agatha Christie mystery or such, you have to have things to figure out the puzzle. Because it's a puzzle piece. And
Like Scooby-Doo, basically.
right, it's Old Man Jenkins. Always Old Man Jenkins.
Yeah.
I just
yeah,
thought-
man.
Speaking
And
of an old man, Phil in the chat saying #Baron needs a haircut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun,
I have
dun.
only one thing to say to that. Cancel Phil McCracken.
Hey, we
Yeah,
got
that's
coupons
why-
for you.
That's why I always use the phrase "playing fair." If the episode does not give you the information you need to really make the outcome plausible, you're not playing fair. You're not,
Mhm.
you know, you need to give me something to make that work. And you
Right.
can't just say
Right.
it's the future. This
Mhm.
is an alien race that can pull that off. They try to make it they try to pull it off by having Crusher go through the information and seeing that something here just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Why did the
Mhm.
shield fail? What if it didn't fail? If it didn't fail, why would somebody be dead?
Mhm.
That is
know?
true.
Well,
I
we
mean-
also come to learn that the shield actually didn't fail.
No.
I mean, it didn't. That part of it was a little weak, but that's
Yeah.
the route they went, and then
Mhm.
they pull that that thing that the guy was never dead in the first place, and
Mhm.
he was behind the whole thing, and
And able to regenerate. And see, a simple thing that would have helped along, like for us, is like, say, just a brief little scene where he might have cut himself, and then someone goes, "Oh, let me take a look," and it's no, it's okay, see, and it's gone, but we still saw that he cut himself. That would have been something that would have been leading on. There was like, okay, what's going on here? But you would still leave red herrings with other characters too
That is
that
true.
go along, and so. A small little thing. I mean, the clue doesn't even have to be big, but just a small little thing, just to make someone going, "Hey, what's going on here?"
So, with that said, Dr. Crusher ends up defeating him and has to use a phaser on a high setting to take him down. And ultimately, she's reinstated. And we find out at the very end of the episode that Guinan actually doesn't play tennis and doesn't and never had tennis elbow, which I don't understand. Why did she say she had tennis elbow and like make a big deal of it?
She was using it as an excuse to talk to Crusher to get everything out.
Hmm.
She is as much of a counselor. And this is not being harsh or anything, but basically, her character made Troy superfluous because now you have two counselors.
That's why we have this counter.
Mhm.
it's kind of like hacking the brain, sort of.
That's why Troy isn't really useful.
Yeah, at least ever since
You
Guinan
take
came
that
in. Yeah.
back, Crit.
No, I mean, honestly, as a character, it's like have one or the other.
Mhm.
Because Guinan's making Troy not a useful character no more, or you get rid of Guinan because, again, Troy's not making Guinan a good character. You really can't have these two like that on there. It's going to have to be one or the other.
I disagree. I think there could be a place for Gaiden as the bartender, being that she's able to get the defenses down of people. Like that tennis elbow maneuver is definitely something that she would do.
Mhm.
whereas
quote,
Counselor Troy is the professional.
Mhm.
To quote Dr. Boyce, sometimes a man will tell things to his bartender that he won't
Right.
tell to his doctor, and Counselor Troy counts as a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all of that said, how are we ranking this episode? I'm going 3.5 out of 5 on this one. Mike,
I'll give it a 2.9 out of 5.
Crit,
Same score as Mike.
all right, ActionCom,
Low 3.
and Baron.
I'll go with Mike and Lord Crit just for the fact that it's a Crusher episode, and I have a crush on Crusher. She is to me what Troy is to you, but she's a redhead.
Yes, and therefore Cash Money doesn't like her. All right, next episode, Heir to the Throne. So this episode starts with Riker and a whole new bridge crew taking over their shift for the morning, and all of us, and they notice that Worf, who was supposed to be taking over, wasn't there, and so Riker and a security team go to see where Worf is in his quarters because he's never late for his shift. Real quick, Phil saying, "Oh my, OMG, Baron, is that rat raccoon from the Great Outdoors?" Phil, you spelled raccoon
All
wrong.
right. Don't have to worry about me.
It was the raccoons who raid the garbage and they talk to each other.
And now because Mouse had to go through with that, Baron, she was showing you her butt.
Well, Mouse is a guy.
Sorry.
All the dogs are girls, and all the cat. Well, the cat is a boy.
Fair enough.
Did you misgender my cat?
And
You
what is your
misgendered-
cat gonna do about it?
Use his pronouns.
About it on Twitter.
Yeah, and don't forget his pronouns. Fur ball.
No, it's Furface, you fool.
All right. And actually, Cobb saying, "Who's the bald-headed bear?" I don't know what that means.
You haven't seen The Great Outdoors, so.
Oh
I
yeah,
haven't.
yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So, anyways, moving on. They find Worf in his quarters, and he has started a big fire in the middle of his room, and he's sitting there in meditation, and he's chanting something, and clearly they're trying to show that he's in like intense meditation and concentration, but the only thing that I got from that look was constipation.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I was going to mention something about when Michael Dorn's looking at the camera and he's cross-eyed. It's like, dude, you've been meditating too hard. You've been praying too hard, doing this ritual too hard, dude.
I ate a block of cheese, 2 pounds last night. I'm having a hard time. We are Klingons. Ah!
Or he could have been cross-eyed from all the smoke inhalation.
Then it'd be like, I'm Worf, man. Wow. I'm a pacifist now. Yeah.
Wait, I don't know what that quote's from.
Kind of like that fire in Romancing the Stone.
Oh.
Right. So anyways, Worf is talked to by Picard in a rather stern way, I might add. And they kind of talk back to the episode The Birthright, where Worf admits that ever since he told the young Klingons on Karaya 4 about their heritage and about the Klingon beliefs, that he has found his own beliefs kind of lacking. And he's trying to... Basically, he was trying to summon a vision of Kahless. And so Picard says, okay, then here's what's going to happen. You are officially on leave. We're going to take you to Boreth, which is the most sacred place for all of Klingons. You're going to find what you need, but when you get back, you're going to do your duties the way you're expected to.
Okay, now this planet is a holy planet, and it's predicted to be the place the where the second coming of Kalis will appear.
Yes. And we see Worf there meditating with the other priests and monks, and of course other travelers that wish to take part. And by the way that they talk about Kalis, and I do not wish to offend by using this comparison, but you could almost say that Kalis could be compared to. You could say that Kalis is the Klingon version of Jesus Christ, right?
Or just any,
Absolutely.
well, or anything, even the like King Arthur is going to return in their time of great need. The once and future king. You have a lot of that throughout mythology, where you have the someone's going to come back again in our dire needs. So,
Right.
and I even so whenever you find that a lot in folklore, mythology, and such, Baldar from the Norse mythology, where he's killed by the mistletoe because it's the only thing that can harm him. But yet he comes back for the new Earth after Ragnarok in the Norse mythology. So you always a lot of faiths have, or a lot of folklores have, someone's
Right.
going to be returning. I mean, people sometimes have been going crazy about Princess Diana, saying that she's like the Lady of the Lake, and she's almost going to be one of those "I'll come back" type of thing. And yeah, there are people in England that had that for a while. So
Lady Diana?
yeah, Lady Diana. They're making comparisons to her being like the Lady of the Lake, and oh yeah, I mean, you got to remember, she had her own little cult following her.
I thought those were called
Or-
paparazzi.
Yeah, well,
Another or to use another fantasy example, you could almost say perhaps he would have been like the God Emperor of mankind from Warhammer 40K, where he, at least if I understand the lore correctly, where he's rumored to come back one day from sitting on his golden throne.
right. Yeah, not necessarily even him. You also have like the Lion, Lionel Johnson, with the Dark Angel is supposed to come back, and of course, same thing with Layman Russ, where ran off chasing. He'll come back someday, and we already got Rubute, Rowboat Girly Man, for all the Ultramarine fans out there, Rubute Gilly Man. So, and and the thing is see, Kalis came back already once. See, there he is. There's Kalis.
Right, but again, that's from the let me pull up in here so that I can find the episode for sure.
Don't ruin it. I'm having a moment here. I don't.
Okay, so yes, we've already seen Kalis, and he looks. Okay, let me ask you this for real: is this the same actor that reprised his role of Kalis as what you have on the screen?
No, it's not.
Okay. And Old Man is in the chat now. Hello, Old Man. Thanks for joining. All right,
and by the way, just a little off, the uniform you see that's being worn by the human, that will eventually eventually worn by Mork from Ork.
Really?
Yep.
The same.
Nanu.
My goodness, it is.
Yeah, it is. They'll do a little redux to it, and that's the same. That's Mork from Ork's uniform. They put that triangle. Oh,
I've never seen Mork and Mindy, so I will definitely. Who knows? Maybe when we're done with Star Trek, we'll watch it.
I do have the first season on DVD.
I would like to. But anyways, in all seriousness, the episode that Baron just pulled a screenshot from was one from TOS. It was actually the third to last episode that ever aired of TOS. It was called The Savage Curtain, and that was the one that had, and let me see if I can do how Brandon does it. Lincoln in space!
Space.
Yes, where basically Kirk, Spock, Lincoln, and Serac are taken to this one planet to have a hypothetical showdown of good versus evil, against Genghis Khan. I forget who the guy in the red was, and
Colonel Green.
Kalis.
Colonel
Was
Green.
it?
Yep. Colonel Green.
Colonel Green, the guy who liked
Colonel
to
Green.
attack people during peace negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
Evil
Mhm.
guy.
And then you also had B. Arthur with a bad hair day.
True.
Mhm.
And then it turns out that the aliens look like a Rocky version of Armus from
Mhm.
Skin of Evil.
The Excaliburns.
hmm You could tell by that point that the TOS budget was pretty much nothing.
Third season.
So anyways, yeah. So Michael's gonna have a time when he goes through that season. So anyways, back to what we were talking about. So again, they're bringing up Kalis, and they're referring to him basically as their mythological being, the person that would come back and set the Klingon people right. And Worf is still having doubts about all of this. And one of the priests, his name is Koroth, I believe it is.
It's Skeletor, you boob.
he got you, man. He got you.
How dare you? You're a do-gooder like He-Man.
But anyways,
Silence, your face.
Let's go while we're young.
I could do this all day.
So
all night,
can
rather.
I.
Don't make me bring out Jackie Mason.
Emotional damage.
You want to bring out Jackie Mason? What's the problem with you? You have a problem with Jackie Mason? He's a good cast, still comic. I tell you, Meshugamas. Oi.
Oi.
Oh my
Oi.
god, the stream's running well until Pacific starts talking. Oh my god, will that guy
You're
ever
right.
shut up?
I have the ultimate fix for it.
Ah!
Trapped in the Borscht Belt with that face.
Now you know what Paul looks like on crack.
Or on Crit's editing skills. All right. Compose. So, what happens next is Worf is once again meditating. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh.
No!
Okay?
No! No! I want to go back to Eternia! The division's hideous! You win again, He-Man!
He-Man.
I have never seen the original He-Man, so I don't know what he's talking about. I've only seen bits and pieces of the 2002 version.
Show him the.
all right,
the
youngster,
Kevin
out you
Smith-
go.
You should watch the Kevin Smith version. It's very
Can't pick me from my
up
own
to
screen.
times and modern and woke.
No. Don't listen to Crit. Listening to Crit's just as bad as listening to Phil.
And Master Paul learned in this episode not to listen to Skeletor and that friendship, that the Force is family, and you must enjoy the episodes, even if it is go along home. Until next time, kids.
Funny enough, Bear, that's the same thing that Phil said when he justified forcing me to watch Caddyshack 2. I wish I was making that up.
I know.
But anyways, getting back on track. So again, Worf is meditate. Crit, what are you doing?
I'm watching Move Along Home.
Folks, that was you.
Youngster, out you go.
Don't come back. Ever.
God, I hurt. It hurts.
Paul, that was you tonight watching Move Along Home, because at the same time Crit took that picture, I looked at you and I'm going, oh, he's having so much fun watching this episode.
Yeah, that would be a
All
great
right.
driver's license
Just-
picture.
At least, Crit, next time you do that, please tell me. That way I can expect it. Okay.
Well,
No,
that's
no, no. What's the
no,
whole
that's-
point?
no,
Yeah.
that's
Great blackmail material.
Excellent blackmail material.
yeah. I'm not gonna be a spoiler to jokes. I'm not.
Wait till Steven sees it.
Oh god.
Oh my.
Oh god.
$70 a week, internet, and we can
All
store.
right.
That'll be enough to
Let's-
pay for the server to keep it on.
All right. We got to get back on track here.
We did
So
this
once
right.
again, Worf is meditating, and all of a sudden, a being appears in front of him, and
Me.
he acclaims himself to be Kalis. And turns out this isn't just a vision. Kalis is actually here in the flesh. An old man in the chat saying, "Look, see, Paul gets slammed by Lord Crit." So, anyways,
Poor Paul.
basically everyone is in absolute awe over the fact that Kalis has returned, because this was something that again was prophesied, that Kalis would return and basically lead the Klingons once again. And at face value, it seems that's exactly what happened. However, Kalis's return has huge implications for the current structure of the Klingon government, especially where Galron is concerned. So Worf, Kalis, and Korath and his aides return to the Enterprise, where Galron will meet with them. And suffice it to say that when Galron arrives on the Enterprise, he is not happy about the idea that Kalis is back, because he sees it as a threat. He doesn't say it, but he sees it as a threat to his authority.
Respect my authority.
Yes. And so Galron brought with him a sacred knife that allegedly had some of Kalis's actual DNA on it. And the idea was to match it with the DNA of Kalis himself and see if it's a match. They do it, and sure enough, it's a match. But then, and you know how kind of in the last episode we were starting to, you guys complained about how there were no clues to the ultimate twist?
Mm-hmm.
There's clues to the twist of this one, because Worf brings 2 cups of Klingon Warnog for him and Kalis to share, and Worf makes a mention of our replicators could never do actual Warnog justice, and Kalis just drinks it like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, Kalis and Galron get into a knife fight, and Galron beats him and would have killed him had Worf not stopped him. And basically, Kalis just got embarrassed. And so finally there is a private conversation that Kalis and Worf and Koroth are having, where they're trying to figure out how to cover up this humiliation. And then Worf comes to the realization, wait a minute, you're not the real Kalis. You're a clone. And Koroth has no choice but say, yeah, he was a clone. He was a clone made from Kalis's actual DNA, and they imprinted into his mind actual events that Kalis would have been part of. However, certain gaps in his knowledge obviously would be missing. For example, the fact that he doesn't know what real Warnog tastes like. The fact that he didn't know exactly who it was at the city of Quinlat when the storm happened, and so on and so forth. And suddenly Kalis is faced with this crisis of identity, where it's like, if I'm not the real Kalis, then who am I supposed to be? Meanwhile, Worf is outright laughing at this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Worf starts laughing because he says, "You were made in a laboratory. You were made in the test tube."
Mm-hmm.
He's a test tube baby.
And so, basically, they all have a meeting with Galron where they agree to basically make Kalis emperor, but in the same way that there is a king of England.
Baron.
And Baron, I'm the only one that can use that picture.
Don't make me turn my back on you.
Do it. Do it. I double dog dare you.
I triple dog dare you. Sorry, getting that on my system.
So, anyways, oh well, that's coming this Christmas. I have it. But anyways, basically they agree to make Kalis emperor of the Klingons, but in the same way that there's a king of England or an emperor of Japan, where they're basically figureheads, but in this case, the real power would still lie with the Klingon High Council. And so Galron, obviously he doesn't like this, but he's willing to accept it. And in the final shot of the episode, Worf and Kalis have a final conversation, and they and basically Kalis says, "Listen, I may not be the real Kalis, but don't lose your faith in the idea of Kalis, because even though it came out that I'm a fraud, there are still people that believe in Kalis that one day he will return. So don't lose faith yourself." So what did you guys think of this episode?
I thought it was okay. I mean, as Klingon episodes go, it wasn't the greatest Klingon episode, but it was okay.
It was an interesting idea for sure. And let me ask you this. What if Kalis legitimately was Kalis in this episode? Do you think it would have made it any better?
Actually, it might have made it worse, because now you have to try to figure out why he's here, and you're talking about about 1,000 or so years.
If you're gonna go that route, it would have to be a case where he comes into the picture, does something, and then somehow gets out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like the Romans who said they saw Jesus come back.
Right.
We saw him; he was here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it'd be another episode where the witnesses are recalling what they saw, and it leaves a lot of questions but no answers.
Right.
Fair enough.
And the thing is, that has been done so much where someone from the past comes back to the future, and so it's a little bit of a different take. Hey, let's do it with a clone instead of over some miraculous thing, whether it's suspended animation, a time warp, a wormhole, whatever it is, where they brought someone from the future from the past to the future, and it's that person, and it does have a unique take on it. It's like, okay, what if we have a clone of it? How is that going to affect things? Who's going to know?
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of Jeruus Sabayoth from the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for those that are unfamiliar, and spoilers, this is somewhat in the beginning of the first book, so it's not much of a spoiler, but spoilers regardless. Jedi Master Joruus Sabayoth was actually one of the first Jedi that Palpatine had killed, sort of as like a test run of Order 66 to see basically whether he actually could have Jedi killed at all. They were going out, he was going out on this one expedition with 6 other Jedi that Thrawn was part of. And through a series of unfortunate events, basically all the Jedi ended up dead, including Joruus Sabayoth. But the Emperor somehow got his hands on some samples of Sabayoth's DNA and had Joruus Sabayoth created. And I'm saying it Joruus, and I'm saying Joruus instead of Joruus, basically because they added an extra U in his name. Here, I'm gonna show an example.
Pay attention, kids. There is going to be a test.
Yes. So that's basically the clone's name, and then here is the real one's name.
Oh, are you talking about Hair of the Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I equate Kalis to, at least as far as how he was made. Now,
But I'm
I'm still,
saying-
You know,
yeah,
this episode does have a legacy behind it. That legacy is it deals with the idea of people wanting to believe things past all proof to the contrary.
right,
Namely, after Kalis' clone has been exposed, it shows that there are people who are just still willing to believe even with this evidence.
right.
And
Or
you
Or- go ahead.
anytime we talk about faith versus facts, somehow this episode always makes its way into that discussion if they're learned in Star Trek. And that's the legacy of it.
Well,
Right.
but one of the things is technically he is Kalis. He's a clone. Technically, he is the individual. He's not
Right.
the original one. He's the Control C, Control V. V. But as it goes, as a clone, he is basically Kalis 2.0 with, like he said, the implanting of the memories inside of him.
Mhm.
So,
That's kind
Morally,
of
I think
why
that's reprehensible.
well, yeah, I'm not saying it is, or I'm not going on the moral standards of
Yeah,
this.
I know.
I'm just going on the straight technological. Now, when we start talking about the moral implications of it, I mean, first of all, this poor guy is himself has lived down the primrose path. Who am I?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you start finding out that you're not who you are.
Yeah, I mean, did the people who create them ever consider this possibility that this was not going to work? That
I'm
would leave
sure
a lot
they
of
did,
awkward
but at the same
questions.
time, I think what it is, I think who the true villains here were the people that created him, because in essence they wanted to use Kalis to shape the Klingon Empire in their image, basically make it through him, make it what they want it to be. And sure, they may cloud their ideals through virtue and talks of restoring the Klingons to what Kalis wanted it to be, but by whose standard are they doing that? Their own?
Yeah, I mean, there is a real life analog somewhat of there's a guy named Mark Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
He fabricated documents for the Church of Latter-day Saints,
Uh-huh.
and he was trying to remake the church in an image he thought was acceptable and making a few bucks off of it.
I believe that.
But then he just went down a rabbit hole of treachery and dissent, and he would go on to kill people, but to cover up his lies. But I kind of wonder if that's something that would the religious people who created this false Kalis go down that same path of trying to cover this up. Ultimately, they don't get the chance, but they never got a taste of power.
Right. And I'm sure given the chance, they would have done so. So let's rank this one. I think, again, I'm going to go 3 out of 5 on this one. And real quick, Mike, I'm going to get your ranking last, and then I'm going to do you last. That way you can say goodbye and you can fire off on that one episode like you'd like. So,
Thank
Baron,
you.
what's your ranking?
I'd say about a 3. I mean, it's again, 3 means it's good. It means it's not fantastic. It's not bad. It's it's there. I mean, it does make you think a little bit and such, which Star Trek is supposed to do. But it's a watchable episode, but it's not something that you would sit back and say, "Hey, you got to go out of your way to watch this."
Fair enough. Action com.
Mid 3.
Okay. And Mike.
I'm gonna give it a 2.9.
2.9. Okay.
Yeah.
So
What is contrary?
go ahead. So in just as short a way as you can, TNG Second Chances, and then Deep Space Nine Dax the Passenger, and Move Along Home. Fire away.
Yeah.
All right. Second Chances. It was really an episode we didn't need because we've already had an episode of Star Trek with a transporter duplicate before in The Enemy Within. We didn't need this one. Yes, Thomas Riker isn't the villain, but we've already had it. It's been there, done that. Now, as far as Dax is concerned for Deep Space Nine, it's interesting how it is a murder mystery and how Odo does have to gather evidence, but the fact that Dax is being put on trial and it's because of actions that Curzon supposedly did, I thought was pretty interesting. And I thought it was interesting how they handle it, saying, well, this is Jadzia Dax. That was Curzon Dax. They're two completely different people. Yes, they share the same symbiont, but they're two completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And the way they resolved the episode, I found pretty interesting. But I'm sure you recognized one of the guest actors in the episode. Oh, you didn't see Kevin's wife from the one episode where we find out that Kevin and I think Shashara was her name, and he created the house, and Worf's there. Nice house, good tea.
Oh, that episode. Okay.
Yes. Well, that same actress was the Bajoran prosecutor, and again, Dax is an interesting episode with an interesting take on law. Notice how in that episode you don't really see Odo at the station; it's all over subspace when he's communicating. Now, as far as the passenger, it's an okay episode because you have two different individuals and one person is doing one thing and the other person is doing another thing because their mind is pretty much transferred into the other person's body while the other person can carry on about their business.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting, but let's go ahead and get to Move Along Home. And I got a few things.
I'll say it for you. Pretty much you think that it's
Move Along Home is it's crap. I hate that episode. I hate it. 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 Alan Moraine, count to 4. Alan Moraine, then 3 more. Yeah, you can take those 3 more straight out the freaking airlock.
So please, Mike, tell us what your true feelings are about this.
For 30 years, I've hated that episode. Those feelings haven't changed.
Yeah. Crit, bring the picture up again.
Move Along Home is just as bad as Caddyshack 2,
no.
and it's right up there. It's right up there.
Yes.
With Code of Honor.
Can you pull it out, please?
Any money in it for me?
So,
gosh.
all right.
I hate this freaking episode. Alan Moraine. Yeah, you move up another level in the game. Big whoop. Hey, guess what, Quark, you greedy Ferengi son of a gun? You're going to cost the lives of your fellow crewmates, your fellow station mates. Dang Ferengi. You know what should be done to this airlock? This episode, you should throw it out the airlock, but before you do that, you should burn it and then spread its ashes out in the airlock. Better yet, you should make Phil McCracken watch it. I'm sure he'd love it.
I'm sure.
This is a Phil McCracken classic episode.
Yes, it is.
Too bad I wasn't on my channel. Then I'd really listen to what I think.
And people, please go
See
to
you tomorrow
Pacific
for Pop
414
Talk,
right
man.
now, and he's going to tell you exactly.
Actually, I'm gonna go regenerate in my alcove.
Okay.
All right. Well, real quick, thank you for joining us tonight, Pacific. Wish we could keep you on so we could go into a more deeper dive on it, but
Well, I think we got deep enough.
But if we go into a deeper dive, then your channel's gonna get canceled, and you're gonna blame me. And
which is why I'm waiting till tomorrow for Pop Talk.
well, tomorrow for Pop Talk, it's gonna be fun. We're not
Yeah,
talking
fun.
about
Yeah.
we're not talking about moving on home. We're talking about arcade.
You're right. We are.
But we're going to lead off with Move Along Home.
I know that was a cheap plug. I know.
Yes. So in fact,
please.
I'm gonna let Michael know. Tomorrow night there's not going to be an episode of Revisited because I want to be there for that. Michael, I'm sure, is going to want to also because I believe he watched it also. So
Okay.
we will be there. What time will it be?
8:00.
8
Normal
o'clock.
Pop Talk time.
Oh, wait a minute. He won't be able to be there for that because he's at his karate class.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
And I'm gonna say this now. I've seen his karate class. No, his teacher does not say.
How about wax on,
Darn.
wax off?
Darn,
He
man.
should.
Did you ever look up? That karate instructor Dante?
I didn't.
Yeah.
So, just the thing here, Mike. You have a channel and you got a show tomorrow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called of all names Pacific 414. And I talk about what I want to talk about on the channel. I play games when I want to play games, not on easy mode.
Hey, I resent that statement.
Resemble that statement.
Remember, guys, you
if
can play
see,
whatever video game you want on whatever whatever difficulty you want. It's your game. Do what you want with it.
if you see me die in a game, just know I'm playing it on normal. Even if I die over and over and over again, I'm still dying on normal. Not easy.
Oh,
he's
dying like
forget the freaking story. But remember, when I'm playing Arkham Asylum, I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman.
Mike is dying like a man. Dang it!
Dang right.
Yes, me and I pretty much was too last night Sunday night playing Mass Effect 2 with that one boss fight.
You were about to give up, but no, your coaches said, you ain't giving up. Get back out there. But coach, I'm hurt. I'm hurt,
when
coach.
I was
I'm
doing
hurt.
this on the bed, banging on it. Did you guys actually see that?
I can't say I did.
Go back and watch that stream.
Yeah, I thought you took it off.
No,
is it still
I
on
didn't.
there? Oh, someone said you took it off. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch it now. I gotta be entertained.
All right.
But
and of
but
course,
no,
old man in the chat.
Come on, old man. Come on, man.
I see that old man is learning from Phil McCracken.
Not good.
No, you're talking about that thing there. Come on, man. We're gonna. It's just,
you know that movie, that thing.
I don't know. I don't know at all what you guys are talking about.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and see myself out the door.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Take care, Skeletor.
Thanks for coming in.
You boobs.
Mikey said, no word. No.
And old man said, I watched you get killed several times. Yes, old man, you should get a Discord. That way you can be in the Discord chat and talk with me and everyone else while we're playing. I think you'd enjoy it. No pressure or anything, obviously. But anyways,
and you got Paul's number. You can call him if you have questions about Discord.
That is true. So, Crit, getting back on topic though with the episode, Heir to the Throne. What ranking would you give that episode?
I'd give it a 3.
A 3. Okay, that's about what I gave it to. All right, fair enough. So on then to the next episode, which is Second Chances, and we're gonna try and rapid fire through the rest of these as much as we can.
Yeah, I think these
So-
we can. At least we can.
Yeah. So basically, the Enterprise is investigating this one station that collapsed on Norvala 4, and they go down, and apparently the atmosphere of this planet has some sort of magnetic charge that prevents transporting down, except for a very specific window of time.
Predictable.
So they beam down during, what is it?
A predictable window of time.
A predictable window of time.
Yeah.
Pacific saying, no, stay off topic. This isn't Pop Talk, man. We do have to keep somewhat of a schedule.
Ooh.
I
Shots
love you.
fired.
I love you. I love you, Pacific. All right, so I genuinely feel bad for saying that now. I'm sorry, Pacific. I thought it was a good idea at the time. I feel bad for that one. I'm sorry.
He's sorry. He's so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry, Pacific.
So
I won't cheat again.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hard mode for you from now on, young man.
All right. So, anyways, they're examining the station, and they find that there is actually still someone there. And
Dun, dun, dun.
surprise, surprise, it's a yellow shirt wearing Lieutenant William Riker. And so they bring him back to the Enterprise and examine him and basically figure out that there was something of a transporter malfunction in conjunction with the magnetic shield that was around the planet that basically took simultaneously Commander Riker's signal as he was beaming out and both let him escape but also bounced it back into the ship, creating basically 2 Commander Rikers. And so one basically lived on that station for 8 years by himself in literally just a pile of wreckage, while the other one, of course, went on with their career to eventually become first officer of the Enterprise. And so this is a shock to absolutely everyone, most notably Riker himself and Deanna Troi, because it's revealed that this Riker still openly has feelings for Deanna, where Commander Riker and Deanna had said that they pretty much had moved on from each other by this point. Obviously, they're still good friends, close friends, but nothing beyond that. But Lieutenant Riker wanted to basically begin their relationship all over again. And Deanna's like, I'll think about it. Meanwhile, as Commander and Lieutenant Riker are working with each other, they quickly realize that they don't work very well together because being alone for so long, Lieutenant Riker pretty much does what he wants when he wants and isn't used to taking orders, and this really irks Commander Riker. And that's kind of the whole point of the show, is going back to the comparison with The Enemy Within. In that episode, you had Kirk getting split apart by the transporter, where you had his entire positive side of his personality embodied, and then you have his negative side also embodied, and it's literally the best parts of you versus the most worst, nasty parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite what's going on here, but kind of also, where obviously Commander Riker has had more life experience and has matured far more than Lieutenant Riker had. And so if anything, it's like looking in a mirror and seeing how you used to be 8 years ago. and you look at that person and be like, wow, I was actually like that. So, yeah, suppose you guys, like Data asked this question to Worf, and I'm going to ask it to you guys. Suppose you saw right in front of you an exact duplicate of yourself, and this is someone basically based off of the version of you from 8 years ago. How would you look at them?
I'd hand them the keys, say, "Good luck, guy," and run like heck.
Crit Pacific? Sorry, ActionCom?
Well, that car that he wanted,
Mhm.
it was a good thing it didn't happen. You really dodged a bullet on that one, buddy.
He did.
Yeah, he really did. As for myself, though, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've made so many good decisions in the last 7 years. I would just I have no big warnings. Whether or not I've had any maturities or anything to say, don't do that or go do this, I probably would mention them.
Right.
Well,
I mean, we're talking about an extremely changed Riker. I mean, this is a guy who had to take over the Enterprise during a Borg invasion.
Yeah, this is a Will Riker that dealt with what he dealt with in the last episode, in the last block. Which episode was that again? It was Frame of Mind. This is the Will Riker that had to deal with that one brain disease where they had to induce nightmares into him to cure him in kind of a lazy episode, to be fair. But
and
yeah.
also remember, Riker had to confront a clone and up the long ladder, and he took a violent turn on that one.
Which episode, which season was that again?
The one with the Irish people.
It was episode 2 because Pulaski also had clones made of her, I believe.
Oh yeah.
They had 2 colonies. One was made up of Irish settlers, and one was made of clones. And
That's true.
the clones weren't doing so well, but they decided to kidnap Riker and steal his cells to make clones.
I think the big difference between the two of those, though, is this was from an accident while the other one was by design. And it's not that Thomas Riker didn't grow; he grew a different way. He had to be, like you were saying, it doesn't. He was used to not taking orders because he had to forge for himself. He had to be a survivalist. He had on the lay of land. He only had one person to report to keep alive, and that was himself. While again, Will went on to having a career working around people, not being isolated. So there was a different. So both were mature, but two different. At that juncture, two different ways. So it's for obviously Thomas Riker is the shock of coming back to society. Just like what was that movie with Tom Hanks where
Castaway,
where now he's back and everything's changed around him. His wife is now married, and now he's finding out that Troy's kind of lukewarm to him now because the relationship went a different way. He's a man out of time in that sense. So he's having to get his bearing, and really you have to take a look at it. Thomas Riker's doing a pretty good job of getting his bearings in this, but still, imagine yourself coming back and finding out that you're the copy. And all these people had, your version had all this life that you could have had in almost a decade.
Truthfully, I was expecting Lieutenant Riker to turn out to be a bad guy in this one, because he would see just how good of a life Commander Riker had, and basically would want that for himself, and so he'd try and do something for Commander Riker and basically say, now your life is mine, or something like that. But no, that's not what happens. Obviously they don't get along, but they work well enough together because Lieutenant Riker is still a Starfleet officer and still has that base level of professionalism.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gone down the trope. They could have gone the tropish way. Thank God they didn't, honestly.
Right.
It's a good thing they didn't go that route because it's been done to death. This is actual actually much more of a stronger character study of what could have been and what is,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
which is a redeeming quality to this episode. Really.
What do you think of that side thing where he made Troy go on that that
I thought that
hunt?
was charming enough.
What do they call that? It's not a treasure hunt.
Treasure.
But, it's
Scavenger hunt.
scavenger hunt. Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was charming enough.
Yeah, I mean
That would be
it's
something
sweet.
a younger Riker would do, and
Right.
trying to be charming.
Right, because you've been out of the scene with anybody for 8 years. And it's just, how do I interact with people again? Especially a woman I got like Paul does for Troy.
Right. But Liara might be changing that. But you didn't hear that.
Oh.
You wouldn't
Stay
see
tuned,
Riker.
boys.
You wouldn't see Riker doing something. The mature Riker doing something like that.
No, if anything,
No.
if he had something like that to say to Deanna, he'd just come out and say it to her face.
Yeah.
Maybe the first season Riker because he was closer to Thomas Riker.
Right.
But even through the show, we've seen how he grew, especially with Best of Both Worlds, where he did have to become. And again, which would have been interesting if Patrick Stewart did leave the show and he took over the role. I'm even more curious after all these years, what would they have gone that route? Because you've actually seen a growth of the character from being a little bit more that cocky character to a little bit more mature Riker. And so, yeah, a first season Riker, I can see him doing it. This season, no.
Mm-hmm. And of course, at the very end of the episode, they're back on the planet trying to find this one memory core that's down in the caverns under the base, but there's so much seismic activity that it's a very difficult climb, and so both Rikers have to work together. And this is where I think they avoided another trope where there can't be two Rikers, so kill one of them. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that, and they had clearly a opportunity to do that because Lieutenant Riker almost falls off a broken bridge, but Commander Riker rescues him.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they avoided another trope, and by the end of it, Lieutenant Riker gets assigned to the Gandhi, changes his name from Will Riker to Thomas Riker, and just goes on his merry way.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, because I was curious, I did accidentally spoil myself. I know we see him again in Deep Space Nine. Okay, I couldn't help myself. So anyways, I'm ranking this one a 4. Actually, no, not a 4. I'm going to go 3.75 out of 5. Baron, what are you going?
I go with 4 because again, like we were saying, they could have gone down so many trope ways. The all the tropes. I mean, even Will Riker could have fallen to his death by accident, and now Thomas Riker takes over for him, and now we go from square one. It's so good that they didn't go that way. They went with more of the character study of who you were to who you are, and not have the all that hanky panky that's so tempting to hack writers out there these days.
Right.
So I'll give it a 4 because just on that matter alone. Plus, again, Star Trek is like, oh great, another twin episode like Time Squared with 2 Picards, Data Lord, 2 Datas, all across the board. It gets boring and old after a while, but at least again, it went a different route. Thank goodness.
That is true. Crits, what are you ranking this one?
A 3.5.
Okay, and Action Com?
I give it a 4. And kudos to Jonathan Frakes for playing against himself. That's something that's got to be very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And he did a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure he had to focus in and tune into his first season self to do it.
Yeah. So with that, let's now have a bit of a change of scenery. We are now on the promenade, and we're going to talk Deep Space Nine.
Don't we have an
Starting with Dax.
intermission?
So Pacific's already gone through these, so we'll just speed through them. Dax is about Jadzia having to stand trial for a crime that her former self, Curzon Dax, had allegedly committed, the murder of a certain leader of a planet. And, of course, Cisco and the rest of the crew trying to prove her innocence, and Jadzia being extremely tight-lipped about it. And we don't find out till later that the reason that she's so tight-lipped is because she's trying to protect the innocence of another woman who was having an affair with Curzon Dax behind the general's back, who, by the way, was great friends with Curzon. And her reason for doing this is, I know my place in history. I'm supposed to be the widow who carries on with a brave face, never remarries, and represents my husband at feasts and dinners made in his name, when in reality I never loved him. And so the big crux of this episode is a Trill the same person when the symbiote moves from host body to host body? And pretty much the conclusion that they come to is kind of yes and no. Where yes, it's the same symbiote, and yes, memories do carry over, but the two personalities of both the symbiote and the host co-mingle to each other and kind of create a whole new personality from the two. Wouldn't you guys say that's right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so basically, it's just another further exploration of the Trill species. And frankly, it did a heck of a lot better job doing it than the season 4 episode. Which one was it? What was it? I'm trying to...
Talking about Next Gen?
Yeah, the episode, season 4, episode 23, The Host, where the Trill were first introduced, where it seemed like the host literally took over the host, where the symbiote took over the host body. Here, it's not. It's a commingling. You know, the two become one, both physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this episode, they had to really redefine what a Trill is, because obviously, between looks and even how they are is a huge difference. You know, it's like, well, is there two different species of Trill? And then, how did the host interact with it? You know, it's hard for them, but they wanted to have a better looking person playing a Trill than all that prosthetic makeup. Just put the dots on.
Right. Exactly. And apparently the dots go all the way down there to their feet.
Oh yeah, I want to be that. I wish I was that makeup person.
So, anyways, with that being said, what are we ranking this episode? I'm gonna give it a 3.
I mean, 3 would be pretty good because again, it goes into who is who, what is what, who made who, and again, doing a reestablishment of what exactly a Trill is for everybody, including Star Trek fans that remember the host episode from Next Generation. And people are doing a good job. It does make you think a little bit, and this does come into play again. Just to warn you, Master Paul, but I'm not going to say when.
I believe you. Crit, how are we ranking it?
I'm gonna give it a nice 3. It's more of an introduction to Dax, so
yeah.
And Action Com?
3. Interesting little mystery.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is the theme of tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. And okay, so with that, let's move on to The Passenger, where we have yet another murder mystery.
Make
This-
me
well-
live.
Yeah, where different people from Deep Space Nine respond to this ship that had crashed, and there was this one, and basically it was a prison transfer ship, and the prisoner ends up dying in the crash. But yeah, he says, "Make me live" to Dr. Bashir as he's trying to help him. And we don't know it at the time, but basically he's transferring his consciousness to Dr. Bashir.
Speak for yourself.
Like almost. Was it?
Speak for yourself. I knew somehow I knew what was going on. I don't know why. This when he grabbed him and did that.
Well, again, it's kind of tropish again.
Yeah.
Remember and all the other stuff that we've seen in Star Trek.
Right.
So it's nothing new.
Or to use a Star Wars example, Darth Bane trying to transfer his essence to Darth Zana as she kills him. So anyways, they go through a series of investigations, and ultimately they find that Dr. Bashir did indeed get taken over by the guy, and they managed to rescue the doctor. I'm going to go 2.5 on this one. To me, this one was kind of skippable.
To show you how much I remember it, I don't. So I don't really have a rating on it. I didn't catch the replay on it recently. So if I don't remember it, it's kind of forgettable episode 2. So
Yeah.
you know what? I'll just copy off your paper. Hopefully the teacher won't see me do it. 2.5.
Fair enough. Crit?
What episode was this?
Passenger.
Give me the
That's
title.
one. That's a
The
one.
Passenger.
Yes.
I don't remember anything about it. It is a season 1 DS9 episode, so
Yeah.
you know,
It's,
But
it's
to
not
sum
like
up, season 1 DS9 is not bad. It's just not memorable.
It's uneven.
right.
this
Well,
episode wasn't as good as Move Along Home, right? That's what you're trying to say.
No, I just don't remember anything about it. There was a consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can remember.
Yeah, bits and pieces like that I just remember. But other than that, yeah, it's
So anyways, with that, let's... Oh, ActionCom, you didn't give your ranking.
I give it a high 1. Only
One?
because I figured it out before the episode was over.
You give me points because you're proud of yourself? That's not
Absolutely.
fair.
Absolutely. In my world, the presents are delivered first.
In my world, I have happy little trees. So, I mean...
All right, time for the main event. Move along home.
Oh, I can't wait. There we
All
go.
right.
Out of the rain, count to 2, out of the rain, every more.
I said...
I'm glad I watched this with you.
Yes. Bring the picture up again.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to do this, Paul, but this was you. That was you.
No, it wasn't. The other one was me. Okay, that face that I am making right here.
Yeah, that was while the episode.
That was while the episode was going.
Yeah.
Okay, question, Crit. What scene was happening when you pulled that picture of me?
I don't remember.
Okay. Basically, that face I'm making pretty much says it all about this episode. Are you all right, Baron?
No, I haven't laughed so hard in so long.
We're gonna go to a quick clip while Baron composes him. Not that
Okay.
one. This one.
Hey, I can be. I can sound like Cash Money. Did you know that?
Do it.
Let's hear it.
Oh my god. No.
I was
They
not
put
ready
woke
for that.
stuff. They put woke stuff in my Star Wars.
You put that to help make me compose myself? Come on!
What in the world is all of that, Chris?
Cash Lightyear.
Actually, you know what? He looks like he. Ever see a photo called Shad Face?
Yes.
You ever see a photo of Shad Face? That's Shad Face.
Yeah, it is.
That's
So,
a-
anyways,
that guy was pummeled within an inch of his life. There.
You know, Paul. You know, that picture. I have seen people when they decided to give up on life. That picture of you is the perfect example of that. Uh-oh.
But anyways, that face that I'm making though pretty much says everything about this episode because it is the single stupidest thing I have ever seen out of Star Trek. Full stop. It is stupider than Star Trek 5.
I
It is
can't.
stupider than Code of Honor. It is stupider than some of the latter season 3 episodes of TOS. And I'm going to dare say this too. It's stupider than And the Children Shall Lead.
Ooh.
Which is so far like
I will take
Code of Honor.
hail, fire and stone. For the angel, we will.
Old man saying, Paul, you are going to... I'm not doing it. Crit's the one manipulating the pictures. Oh my God! What is
That's Paul if it was Steve Buscemi. I can't even say it because I can't talk.
All right.
So you were the Big Lebowski, huh? How was it?
I guess. But anyways, pretty much. I don't know who Miranda Lawson is. All right, so back on topic. So, what happens in this episode? They're having a first contact with a species called the Wadi, someone who's coming from the Gamma Quadrant through the wormhole. The first thing that the Wadis say when they meet Commander Sisko is, "Where are the games?" No diplomacy, no, we're honored by your welcome, we represent such and such planets. Just, where are the games? We were told there would be games. And so Major Kira takes them to the Dabo tables, where Quark and his people, trying to get them to go away, start playing in a less than honorable way. And the Wadi catch them.
Dabo!
So what do they do is they set up their own game. And they put 4 pawns on the board. And we see Sisko asleep in his bed, and suddenly he wakes up inside this weird-looking room. Same with Bashir, same with Kira, and same with Jadzia. They make their way through, and this is where Pacific really got mad. They see a girl doing hopscotch on the floor and singing this one song over and over and over again. Quote, "Almaraine, count to 4. Almaraine, then 3 more. Almaraine, if you can see. Almaraine, come follow me." And if I got that wrong, good. It deserves to be gotten wrong.
I think it burned into your brain pretty good there.
Yes. They're trying to figure out a way out of this room. They try and just walk for the door, and suddenly there is a force field that pushes them back. They try matching her steps. It still pushes them back. So what do they have to do? They whole 9 yards, sing the song, and that's how they get through. And the look on Major Kira's voice as she's doing this is just, why in the world am I doing this?
Why kill me now? Where's my? I want to talk to my agent right now.
Yes.
You better be careful
So
because they showed some behind the scenes with the actors, what they do on their downtime. Major Kira, she goes to the gun range. So
Oh, I knew there was a
Okay.
reason why I liked her.
yeah,
I'm cool with that.
yeah. So
Does anybody have her number?
Okay, what are you showing?
oh.
It's kind of a toss-up. You remember this?
Oh my god.
He doesn't have to mention the episode. You just know what he's talking about.
You can see Alamaray, you'll come with me. Come on, just say the rhyme.
Thank God Pacific's not here right now. He'd be in a
I
right
want him here. Hey, Crit, was that you, Crit, that did that?
Yes.
What?
You did that one tomorrow. Play it for him tomorrow.
Yeah,
And I will make sure
that,
to edit out this part of the stream so that he doesn't hear that. Assuming he's not still watching live.
Oh, I don't care if he comes after me. I can protect myself.
you're on it. You're gonna be on the tit list. Here you go.
No, well, it's not the first one I've been on.
Yeah. He'll be looking at you, Baron, much like this.
Two quotes. Let's get dangerous. And
All this intravenous stuff's no good for you. Stick to smoking.
let's rock.
Oh, and we don't have a clip for this one, but remember this one, Crits. Make my day. Push the button. But anyways, with that,
Let's rock.
the next thing they find that basically while all this is going on, Quark is playing the Wadi people at this game, and soon he realizes, oh crap, the pawns that I'm playing as are actually the captain, because in comes Odo trying to find them.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, one of the truly good positive things about this episode is Odo, and the fact that by this episode he's established how he portrays the character, and his makeup is improved upon.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Crit, you were the one that pointed that out, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I say Odo's my favorite character, and I stand by that.
I think it was going to the
At the beginning, I kind of feel like he was not there yet. He looked like an old man in makeup, but they made it so it's supposed to be in canon that he's trying to perfect his imperfections, his shape shifting ability. So in the first one, it looked like he was very humanoid, but now it's not. So
I think they were also trying to work on getting makeup on, be able to get off and on faster too, because it was taking so long in the beginning and refining the process and tweaking and being able to have them work with everything with that, working with the makeup. It was all that. So I think this is where you're finally getting Renee Auberjonois and everybody's finally clicking on the character, which is one of the highlights of this episode, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So with all of that, the four that are in the game come to another situation where they walk into a room and everyone is drinking and laughing and having a good time, and they won't say a word to them. All of a sudden, poison gas starts filling the room, and the people start choking out. And so, literally, Avery Brooks has to act like he's choking and dying, while the head Wadi person is just laughing and whooping and carrying on. And it's just so discordant from each other that it's just like, why are you doing this? Eventually they figure out that the drinks are the antidote and they move on. At one point, Bashir just randomly gets eliminated from the game. And then all three of them, the three remaining ones, get trapped in a cavern. Jadzia hurts her ankle. And they all fall down a hole. The end.
Of the game.
Well, they survive. They go back to Deep Space Nine. And
Yeah.
the
It was
Wadi-
made known that they were... Yeah, they were
And the
never
Wadi ex-
in any danger at all.
It was just a game.
Mhm.
That's literally what they say in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So in other
This
words, no
episode-
stakes.
I have never done this on Tuesday Night Trek, but this episode is getting a 0 out of 5.
I think you did.
0. This is an epic fail.
You
So,
can do
Baron,
that?
what about you?
You need to rewatch Code of Honor.
I don't need to. I saw the clips, and that was enough.
You need to watch Star Trek V without the jokes.
I like Star Trek V even with the jokes.
I will tweak it up to a 1 for only one good reason. Well, a couple of reasons here. One, I never had such a good laugh in my life with the whole situation we had here. Just that in itself was entertaining to me. But in all seriousness, all the actors did a great job in this episode. That's what the sad thing is. Everybody was doing their darndest playing it. You were starting to see that there was a little bit of a conscious to Quark in this. Again, like I said earlier, Renee Auberjonois was finally getting into the character. Everything was clicking on that one. And all the ridiculousness that the actors had to go through. And the concept wasn't a bad concept. It was the execution of how they did it.
Agreed.
Plus,
Exactly.
right. And plus, that this is an episode where all the focus is on one thing. You don't have a B or C plot. It's all this. So, I mean, that's why I'm being so kind, especially with the fact that I was laughing when I took us off. I'll give it a 1. But it would be nice to see if how it would have been done if they would have executed slightly better. And that would have been a lot better of a story. I think so. Maybe if they did even more for laughs. I don't know. But, I don't think they even had an idea. Should we play it for laughs or should we be serious? I think that was kind of one of those things right there. Which way should we go with this? And they did neither. Except for us, having a grand old time laughing at it.
Yes. Crit.
I would say I'm gonna give it a 1. I think it's good bad. Like it's funny to laugh at.
Which is funny you say that because that's how I view Code of Honor. Action Com, what about you?
I have to give it a 1, mainly because this is definitely an episode you can't let people skip. I mean, they have to watch it. It's part of the table talk of every Trekkie to talk about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look away. You can't tell people to avoid it. It's entertaining in spite of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't.
Here's what
you
it
cannot
was.
avoid it.
Here's basically my biggest problem with this show. Just the simple fact that it is so stupid. When Star Trek, compared to literally everything else that I had seen before I started watching Star Trek, was always the smart show, the show that makes you think. What is there to make me think in this episode?
Why am I watching?
Exactly. And to me, that's the biggest crime that this episode commits is just the fact that it's so stupid.
Well, in a sense, this episode is the essence of Star Trek, which is problem solving.
Right.
And I think that's what they were trying to go for. That, the
ethics
game of life.
Ethics and problem solving in teamwork. Which was again, the basis for the episode was great. It's just the execution of all that was the horrible.
Exactly.
And as it goes, every group has a hazing. Congratulations, Paul. This is your hazing. That's why all Star Trek fans have to watch this. It's hazing. It's hazing. It's
I suffered through my hazing with Caddyshack 2.
Well,
This is on the level of that.
hazing is done to make sure that new members don't get a big head and realize your place is in the group, not you as head of the group. I don't see that with this.
No, I was just sitting there.
I know.
This is waterboarding.
No, this is you coming into the lore. I mean, let's face it. Everyone wants to talk about that stupid song and this not very well executed idea. It's very funny. I mean, did you see how that auditorium lit up when he started singing that song? I mean, that's where the entertainment is. It's the after party.
Yeah. I mean, everyone who's gone through it, it's burned into us. We can all get together. We can laugh. I mean, even the stars can. I mean, right there, Avery Brooks. Look at him. It's like he starts doing it. Everyone's in on it. We're all on the joke. It does have that sense of family. We've gone through this. It was silly. It was stupid, but we got through and we got stronger, and we have something we can do a little joke about with each other.
Entertainment's where you find it.
Yeah,
you're not
those
wrong.
inside jokes. You walk up to the start with Al Moraine, and they know exactly what you're talking about. Meanwhile, Normie wouldn't.
And meanwhile, I gave Crit more nightmare fuel to make my face into.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's
a rite of passage.
Yeah,
fair enough, I guess. All right, so with that, guys, that's going to be it for us tonight. We've already mentioned we're not going to have Revisited tomorrow. Instead, Michael and I got to talk to him. Well, I'm at least going to be joining Mike on Pop Talk. So we're going to be talking Arcane over there. And I will be reopening the fresh wound that was this episode for him. So anyways, remember that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And just remember, everyone, don't cheat at Dabo. You'll be forced to play a stupid game. See you guys later.
Alamarine.